Welcome to the studio. We've got a little painting here. It's almost like a warm-up exercise here that I'm going to do, but it's just a really beautiful scene from Vancouver Island, and I painted it before in different composition. It is always fun to paint. So first thing you're going to do is just wet the sky like this, and this is just this is kind of remnant of paper from one of my demos that I did. So the size is pretty much square. I don't know, it's about 10 inches, 10 inches by 10 inches, 10 inches. So I'm just going to wet the sky, and I'm also going to wet it all the way down here. We're going to use a lot of water in different spots of this painting here. Preliminary drawing is simply the horizon line and just a little bit of the beach here, and it's not even required to put in the stuff here, because you're going to you just paint it. You can see close enough. It's not very complex. Now the island here, you're going to wait till it's fairly dry before you start into these trees. They've got some pretty good definition with the background because they were quite close. In the distance here, you'll notice the sky blends into the ocean. We got some low, kind of a foggy, kind of a rainy atmosphere here going on. A lot of horizontal lines as you get further away. That'll give you the illusion of distance. And up here, we're just going to go in there with the brush. I could just visualize how we're going to do this here, and we can go ahead and start that. I could do that with this big square brush, but I'm going to use around here. And I think I mixed in a little neutral gray with some cobalt blue, and this may look intense. I'm not going to dry the sky here, and I'll show you why in a second here. I'm just looking at this here, if I want to go this dark to begin with here, and yeah, I think I do, because it'll dry lighter anyways, and I want it still wet down here. So okay, thinking out loud here, just start into it right here and all the way across. Stop that from going down too fast. And this is a wet sky. Turn it right away. This is what we're going to do, and we want a lot of angle on it. I want to make sure you can still see this here, and I'm going to drop some pigment on this side here, perhaps some brighter blues into here where that area is, and you can slow it down by changing your angle. You can speed it up by increasing your angle. Make sure you can see that going in there like that, and then it's behaving itself. You can go back to this direction here and check the moisture content on your brush, and then just smooth it off here just like that. There. Now I want a little bit of more of a purpley color, so I'm going to introduce a little bit of just some red in here, mixed in right off the top and into here like that. And let's get our clouds going that way there. You don't have to worry about this line too much because it's all wet. And we're just creating a bit of atmosphere here. I'm going to leave all that, let it do what it wants to do. And then now I'm going to get in, I'm going to clean this brush off. I can squeeze out most of the pigment. This is off camera. I just got a dish here, or a water receptacle, and I'm just squeezing the water out of it. And I'm going to get some clean water and start in, bringing this down into here like that. I got a little bit of, I'm not going to mention what color that is because I have no idea. It's just mixed in with the on my palette like that. And I want that going this way again. So we're going to drop it going down that way. This is a rough paper, so you're going to see a lot of pooling of pigment down into the lower spots here. And as this tightens up a little bit, I like this orange kind of hue. I think I've got some Quinacridone sienna in the palette. There is what I'm kind of using here. It's just what I had. It's just kind of a warm-up piece, so I'm not really worried about colors too much, but I do want it interesting. So let's bring that in here, right into the waves. Just these gentle little waves like that there. Now while this is still wet, but it's tightening up a little bit, this is really, really wet. So I'm going to go in here and get a little darker again. I got some, oh, I think that's the wrong brush. I loaded up a brush with some sand kind of color here for the shore here, and I'm going to go in here and put in a little bit more color in the sky right about here. Darken that up a little bit more into here, just as this tightens up. Now I'm going to watch what this does. I'm going to introduce it right up here and bring it across into here like that. And I was ready to turn it if it was dropping down too quick, but it's not, so it's doing okay. So I'm going to drop in a little bit more into there like that. And then right along the horizon we've got some lines going across, so I'm going to actually change the color of that. Yeah, maybe get some cobalt teal blue while this is still wet, and go in, there's our horizon line again, and get into here like that. Just start into it like that, and blend that a little bit, just so we got some interesting colors going on into here like that. And I've got a soft kind of, this is a number 10 brush here, and what I can do, it's totally dry. I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to play with these clouds, playing in the clouds with your lights and darks into here just like that. So I'm watching this as this tightens up here. I've got a little brush here and here. I'm not going to really do a whole lot with it. Actually, I can see if I can get it off. No, it never works. It's always better to let them dry and then let them come off later on. And I've got some streaky kind of clouds going in down here. This is just a dry brush. I'm picking up pigment, making these little bands and things like that there. As we pick up pigment, a little more of a cloud into here. Now this has become a wet brush, but it's wet with the pigment that I'm picking up off the paper, so you can go ahead and dry it off again and gently just get your clouds into here like that, and maybe some little highlights into this fun sky that we're doing up into here. Create some interest in that area there. Again, this is going to dry a lot different than what you see here. I'm obsessed to picking up this hair. There we go, I got it. Alright, success. And just put in another little cloud here where I picked up some pigment. And just like that there. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit. And then we'll continue on. Don't work on that too much. I'm just getting the feeling that we're right at the edge of where we need to stop working on this cloud in the sky here. And then we're going to come in here. Actually, I can come in and do some of the reflection in the water here. I've got the same brush, and this is our horizon line. I can see it's really wet, so I'm going to go a little bit stronger because it's wet, because that's just going to dilute our pigment here. And I come in here just like that. Yeah, see, we're not getting much effect there. There, that's better there, right on the horizon line. And because it's wet, it's going to diffuse into the higher areas there. And we're going to get an undefined horizon line. And you can just put in a little bit here. I want it a little bit drier to do the rest of it here. And here we got some bands, don't worry about it. It's not going to... We'll come in here after and put in our darks and then our shadows coming down. So an easy little piece to start with here. Nice little warm up. And we got some light here. I'm just looking at that. That's going to give us some nice contrast. And so next step, let it dry. And then you can continue on and work on the trees, the beach, reflections, and so on and so forth. I'm just looking at some of these clouds here, and they've closed in. This is pretty wet. I've got a dry brush again, and see if it's receptive to me picking up a little bit more pigment in here, like that. And it is. It's looking good. Looks just like that, sort of. And a little bit more vertical development in these clouds, as the meteorologists call it. Yeah, it gives us a little bit more detail. A little voice in my head said, "You're done enough. Don't do too much more into here." So, but I can't resist. Playing with clouds is fun. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna leave that, let it dry, and we'll continue. All right, so this is dry enough, and we're gonna continue here on just this island right here, like that. And I mixed in just some white with some sort of leftover brown that I have in the palette, and I'm going to do this little shore area here. Thanks to all the new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so, and thank you to all the existing subscribers and supporters. Please comment, like, share, do all that stuff like everyone says. And then I'm going to just start in with some color here. And this is a color that I'd mixed up earlier that I used when I didn't actually want to use it quite yet. I'm going to just see if this is dry enough to accept this, and I don't think it is. So, yeah, that's okay. Can work on that there. And just let that crawl up and diffuse into there like that, and we're going to leave some of this water. Remember to do that. Dry off the brush a little bit here and bring that across. Controlling our moisture by picking up some pigment there. So that's going to help with our little reflections. And even now we can start on the reflections in the water, these verticals that come down here like that. There, now that's still a little bit too wet to do that, but the trees are going to be receptive to that, so we're going to do that next here. So quite dark in the trees, and then we're going to drop in some of the browns. I'm just going to go ahead and use Undersea green. I'm going to keep this painting simple and almost like a study. But I do want a finished piece, and so we're going to be careful with what we do here like that. I'm not going too close to that line because I want to see how much it creeps down into there. And we just paint our trees. Now the tree line goes down and up and then down towards this point here, and the point we can imagine it being about here. So we'll start over here and just work our way back again, and leave some white areas because that's where you're going to want to put some of your rocks in. Very simple, just almost painting itself. Just drop the pigment in there. Nice thick pigment, that way you don't have to worry about it spreading too much. And we got another one there and into here like that. And it's almost enough. Leave a few of those spots there. And we're going to use some Burgundy yellow ochre. And this is going to crawl, I know it is, but this is a way to separate pigment. You're mixing on the paper, but you're also, this Burgundy yellow ochre, like some of the other colors, will help move the pigment where you want to move it to. Like that there. And maybe a little bit of Quinacridone burnt orange, just for interest. We just put some of that in there. Just in little spots, just for some detail. And that's about it there, except for right at the end here. Very small painting, so I'm being very careful putting in these colors because you want to look like something. When you're painting in a loose style, you always want to make sure that you paint something in the painting with some nice good definition and something that's going to read exactly what you want it to read. You don't have to do that to everything, and I caution you not to do it too much in the distance because you want to reduce the amount of detail as you go into the distance there. Now this is really dark. I'm going to try getting some nice darks in here over top of where these rocks are. And I'm watching that there. Yeah, that can come down, that's okay. We can work on those details right in there. Now right on the horizon line we've got the darks from more shore. I'm going to try it here and I'll see what it does. Nope, it's crawling too much. So we can watch what it does there, being very careful. Up here it's a little drier in this peak here. I'm not going to even attempt that quite yet. Yeah, but I'm going to bring this down into here. I'm just watching what it does. Patience. I don't have much patience, but I like this stuff done right away. But I've learned with watercolor, sometimes you just have to wait, watch it do what it's going to do. Yeah, there we go. So you see how that's not crawling there? I was being patient and waiting for that to dry enough so it can give me the effect that I want. You see all these lines into here? That's what I'm doing right now. And there's another one right here. That there. Can work on that. Have that come across, just like that into here. You don't have to put them everywhere. Leave your whites in there, like that. Saying that's enough. That's enough. Okay. So and then you're going to want to, with a dry brush, I'm going to get the same one I used before here. Just make sure it's dry enough on a paper towel. I'm going to come down here and right where that is, like that. Just with the tips of it. I'm going to make those reflections. Just reflections in the water. Again, a little bit from this tree in here, maybe that tall one into here, like that. Just like that there. I'm just feeling that just to see how dry that is. And there, you can even spray that with a little bit of water, but when you're spraying it, you got to be careful that you're you know, not going to get it everywhere, because you want to control your moisture here. And I can go in with some darker darks afterwards there, and that's what I'm going to do. So right away, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to check the color on my brush here. A little bit more titanium white in here. There, I think I've got the color that I want, and I'm going to go ahead and do this beach area into here. And there's a little bit of a little water coming in here, reflection. We can see if we can get that illusion going on here as we go, and like that there, and go ahead and go right across. Like that there. And I'm going to drop in just some different colors into this area to here, and let it blend on the paper. And like that there. So I'm seeing that move a little more than I want, and it's up to us to control what we're seeing here, and picking it up with a damp brush just on the edge of the beach, just like that there. And just damp and drying it off on the paper towel that I have. And we're just going to let that do its thing like that there, and come across. So we want a little bit more reflection into here, and we can create it. We got some green, just some dry pigment here. The paper's almost dry, and then we can put in our bring that in a little bit more, just some mystery in there like that. Work on blending, and I'm going to leave that just like that. So this beach is developing nicely. I'm just looking at it. Dry off this brush. I'm going to be careful of this edge here where it blends into the water. Dry brush. blend that in into here. And there we got our water reflections. I'm seeing if that's just dry enough over here. I haven't forgotten about this little bit of rock that's over on this edge here, and I'll go ahead and see if that's dry enough to paint that in. It's holding a lot of moisture, this paper here. I'm going to leave a little gap and come in here just ever so slightly and paint that in like that. I'm going to look from the top just to see if I'm getting a level here, and I will make it look like that rock a little bit more over there. Just like that, and I'm going to leave that little gap. No, I'm not. I'm just going to close it in. There, just like that, there. And so the next thing I want to do, we're going to get just some neutral gray, and we're going to work on our horizon here. Or just the base of this land here where water meets land. Just reinforce that thick pigment because this paper is still pretty wet here. If you watch my plein air paintings, you'll see how quickly everything dries outside, so it's nice to have time like this and work on these paintings. And I'm going to get a little bit of titanium white, and I'm going to mix this on the paper here, and what I want is the burgundy yellow ochre to still show up behind this, so and create a definition or the separation of where you want your land and your water reflections to start in there. Now this is pretty dark in here. I'm going to put in a little bit of green just to get some more green in our reflections here, because that's what this is here. Just like that there. And we got our lines coming across. We can reinforce that with some white gouache later on too. We can get a little bit of blue, and we can put some in here. Just our reflections of the water, like you got some water pool in there. Reflections of the sky, I should say. And the same goes here. I want this a little bluer, but I don't want to get rid of the white. There, just like that, and that's giving us a nice reflection going on there. We can spray this some more. I'd rather dry brush it. This is so small that when you're spraying, it's hard to get accurate with the spray bottle with something this small. So just going to drag that down like that in our reflections, and I think we're achieving what we're set out to do here quite nicely. Then the beach down here, it's still quite wet. You can just let it do its thing. And have a look at it here. It's strong in the paint in the photograph, but I'm just gonna change that a little bit, just lighten that up. Like that, and it pushes it back. So that's doing a good job there. Okay, so lastly, while this is getting or drying up here, I want to go darker in that foreground, and I'm going to use a mix of neutral gray and quinacridone burnt orange, and I'm going to go in here like this, and while this is still wet, and let this just blend on the paper. Maybe a little bit more there, just to reinforce that like that. That's good. I'm liking what it's doing there. And you just got to be patient and wait for it to develop. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you some little highlights in your beach area there. I went a little farther than I bargained for there, but that's going to be okay. I'm just watching it develop as I talk there. So The next thing you can do is, if you have any white gouache, you can put some of these white lines across here. This gouache is M. Graham and Company, and it dilutes just like watercolor, and you can blend with it, you can see through it. And come across and see what it does here. Just come across and reinforce our highlights, just like what you see over there. Don't do too much, just a little bit across your shadows. You could just do this with titanium white watercolor as well, and just put in a few little lines with a rigger brush, and that'll read like water reflections a little bit more when you do that there. I'm going to go right along the shore here and reinforce the shoreline a little bit. That looks good there. Alright, I'm going to call this one done. It's a nice little painting, nice little study. I quite like it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing again. If you know anybody that's interested in watercolor, please pass on the channel information, and hopefully they'll subscribe there too. Have a great day and enjoy painting this one. See you next time.